Yes, you are.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Train the Trainer program organized by the District 120. True leaders don't create followers, they create more leaders. We are here to create more such leaders in our Train the Trainer. I would like to start by reading the district mission. We build new clubs and support all the clubs in achieving excellence. And before we move on to the meeting, I would like to state a few ground rules. Remain muted when the speaker is speaking. You can unmute yourself only when you are given an opportunity to speak. If you have any Zoom connectivity issues, please use the chat box to communicate with us or contact the Zoom master, Toastmaster Ganesh Muthu. I request everybody to keep your video on throughout the meeting. I request the speakers to please spin their timer screens. Use the raise the hand option if you have any questions or need any support during the session. Once again, I welcome all of you to this great morning. Train the Trainer is an event that is a stepping base stone for sculpturing the 7 great pillars of any clubs, the XCOM, and that should be laid the strongest. I welcome all of you to that basement today. I would like to start the meeting by introducing somebody, and this person is, I welcome Toastmaster Satish Menon, Direct-Elect. Toastmaster Satish Menon is one of the co-founders of Third Base Solutions Private Limited, an IT solutions and service organization established in 1995 with 5 individuals then and now close to 600 plus resources. He has been a Toastmaster since 2013 and has risen up the rank from a club level to area, division, and district. He has been a star area director and a President Distinguished Division Director. He has been the conference co-chair for Reverberation 2017 and the co-conference for Ovation 2019. He was the club growth director for District 82 last year and is the program quality director for District 120. Satish loves to travel to 2 new places every year, collect and read books on every possible topic, and is an avid collector of miniature aircraft models. With lots of respect, I welcome Toastmaster Satish Menon onto the dais.
Thank you, Toastmaster Lakshmi, and a very good morning to all of you who are present here today for our first training of the Toastmasters year 2021-22. Every year we start off with a new mission. I would not say new mission, reinforcing the mission of the district, because obviously the mission cannot change every year. And this year also, we have stepped into the new year or are stepping into the new year, reinforcing the mission of building sustainable clubs and retaining members. Because as a district, we believe that growth comes only through sustainability. And you can build the brand of Toastmasters only through sustainable clubs and members who stay with the movement for a long time. This training today, which we are going to start, is the first step towards getting the right information out to the members. A lot of times we've seen that the clubs meet regularly. They do all that they are supposed to do, but somewhere some of them or a large percentage of them lack the understanding of how certain roles need to be performed, how the club affairs need to be run, how members need to get together, okay, and what makes a sustainable club. Because being part of a Toastmasters club is not all about just speeches and contests and elections, which is much more beyond that. And our first step of being a true leader, knowing how to manage the affairs of a club, knowing how to step into the role of a club excom, how to deliver on that role, and how to leave a legacy behind once we finish from the role. That is also very important at a club level, which is precisely the reason why we are having this training today. A lot of people have asked me or asked us, why do you do this every year? Oh, we all have gone through this multiple times in a year. We all have grown ourselves into some of these roles. We all know how to do it. Why do you waste your time doing this? For that, the answer is, it's true that a lot of us have done these roles before. Many of us are still doing some of these roles. We know what we are supposed to do in most cases. But the reason for doing this every year is to reinforce the belief in people that this is what we need to do things in a better manner. The trainers that we have today, the people who have come to attend, the Toastmasters who have come to attend the training, they all need to learn from experiences. So when the trainers share their experiences on the role, they are not telling what a standard Toastmasters role description for that particular role is. That's already there and published. What they are going to do is they're going to share their experiences of having served in that role. Their experiences could be pleasant experiences, it could have been unpleasant experiences, but whatever it is, it has kind of brought out a learning into people. And that is the learning which we want to share with the larger audience. And for the audience, once you hear from them, you will also be able to relate when you have been in your club meetings and you have done some of these roles as to how these experiences relate to what you have encountered. And that is that sharing of experiences which we want to take to a larger audience. The reason being, there are a lot of clubs in the district who are new. We are a young district. We don't have too many senior Toastmasters in the district. And as and when new clubs get added, if you look at the demography of District 120, it's a young group of people. And that is where we need to share the experiences, share the knowledge, and tell them that this is how we have encountered, rather than saying this is how you will do things, that this is what we have encountered and this is how we have overcome it. And this is how it has benefited our club. So when you share those experiences, people go back with that and they will try to implement it in their clubs based on what the situation arises. End of the day, a movement can only grow if the clubs are sustainable. We cannot invert the pyramid to say, I want a reward, so let the clubs earn the reward. Because we are not a corporate enterprise. And let me tell you, if a district becomes medley, it's a good thing for a district to become medley, right? But that growth and that success has to be all inclusive. There is no point in going and claiming that I'm a medley distinguished district when half of your clubs are struggling to do club meetings. That is not a sustainable growth. And this training is only to kind of reinforce that into members, to say what we can do best at a club level. Because if the club thrives, if the members have a great experience of being in Toastmasters, the reflection of that will show in the area, division, district, and beyond. I heartfully thank all the trainers who have come here today to do the training. Thanks very much for volunteering to share your experiences with a larger audience. For all the attendees who have turned up here today, thanks very much, because you have taken it on to say that you will go and spread these learnings and experiences to a wider audience and also implement it yourself. Looking forward to us building on a sustainable district in the years to come. Thank you, all the very best, and happy Toastmastering. Back to you, Toastmaster Lakshmi.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Satish Menon, for your wonderful words. Every event must have an objective behind it. To explore more on this objective, we have a very special person today. DTM Aarti Mangalam. Distinguished Toastmaster Aarti Mangalam has been a Toastmaster since October 2016. Starting off as a Vice President of Education, she has served as an Assistant Area Director, TLI Co-Chair, Area Director, and currently serving as the Division Director of RO Division, Division F of District 120. She has also been a district contestant in the table topics and division contestant in IAC and evaluation contest. A leadership trainer, a linguist, a psychometric assessor, a coach, a mentor, Aarti has 17 years of experience in L and SU space. A triple postgraduate holder in mass communication and journalism, linguistic and psychology, she's currently pursuing her PhD. She also has a diploma in criminology. With a wide range of interests, she pursues education based on her passion. With lots of love, I would like to welcome distinguished Toastmaster Aarti Mangalam onto the dais.
Thank you so much for that welcome, Lakshmi, and a warm good morning to everyone gathered here. Thank you for attending this Train the Trainer. Lakshmi said I'm going to share the objective of why Train the Trainer, and I'm going to do it in the form of a story. There was a village, and in the surrounding villages, total 8 villages, there was only one priest to do all the rituals required for the people living in that village. Whether it was a death, a birth, a wedding, whatever, where a priest was needed, he was the one and only man. His family was a small family. It was him, his son, his wife, and his beloved cat. So every day, this man will get up in the morning, go to the river, finish his ablutions, come back home, get dressed, and he would go on his work. Wherever he went, like the hutch dog, this cat would also follow. And when he sat down to start the rituals, the cat would rightfully jump into the lap of the priest. So much so, the priest decided before starting any of the rituals, his first job was to catch hold of this cat, tie it to a pillar over there, and then start the rituals. And life was blissful. But unfortunately, the priest died due to an illness. Not only his family, but his entire village was quite upset because they did not have anyone to now take care of the rituals. When the village was wondering what to do, should we bring someone from another village? Do we go seek for someone from a different city altogether? The priest's son stood up and said, "Let me take the responsibility of my father. I've learned from my father, I've observed my father, and I know what needs to be done. So please give me an opportunity." The villagers and the wife of the priest was very happy to hear this, and they said, "Please go ahead." Once the entire ritual of his father's death and everything was over, there was an opportunity to go ahead and perform a ritual in one of the villagers' house. So this young lad woke up in the morning, he went to the river, took his bath, finished his ablutions, came home, got dressed, and went to the person's house where he had to perform the ritual. And the people came there and said, "What do you need to make sure we can get this ritual going?" He gave a list of items he needed for the ritual, and one of the items in that list was find a black cat. This is what mostly happens when you follow something without understanding why you are doing it. Unfortunately, the black cat which the priest had died once the priest died. It could not take the bereavement, so it also died. But the priest's son did not understand why this black cat was following the priest. He thought this was a part of the ritual. So his one of the main items was get the black cat so that we can tie it to the pillar and then start the rituals. Many a times, this is how we follow.
Ma'am, you are on mute.
Yes, thank you so much. The host decided to mute me. I don't know why. Maybe he's heard this story once too many times. So many a times, this is what happens when we follow certain practices without understanding why we are following them. And that is why, for me, the train the trainer is an important and integral part of our officers training program. We might be doing the same thing in every OTP, but why we do? As Satish Menon said, most of our ex-com officers are young officers. They are pretty new to the fraternity. They would copy from the previous term of officers, but only when they understand why are we following certain practices will they be able to implement them and will the learning happen. That's why I would once again take this opportunity to thank all the trainers who would be educating our OTP trainers. And we've tried two new things in this Train the Trainer. Number one, we have introduced the concept of training the IPP also. IPP, the immediate past president, is still an important role, but many clubs are not aware of that role. That is why we've introduced the IPP training. And number two, to give a completely non-Toastmaster perspective to training itself, we thought how to be an effective trainer should be done by a non-Toastmaster. With this, I would like to hand the stage back to our MC Lakshmi and wish each and every one of y'all a fantastic, rewarding journey. Thank you so much, and back to you, Lakshmi.
Thank you so much, Aarti, for the inspiring story. Up next, we have a special event coming up. A mediocre teacher tells, a good teacher explains, a superior teacher demonstrates, but a great teacher inspires. We have one such great trainer who is part of us today, and he is here to explain how to be a successful trainer, Dr. R. Karthikeyan. Dr. R. Karthikeyan is the founder and managing director of Gemba Management Consulting Private Limited. He holds an MPhil in clinical psychology from National Institute of Mental Health and Neurosciences, Bangalore, and PhD in psychology from the University of Madras. As a successful psychotherapist and a researcher, he found his corporate calling in HR and started his career with Murugappa Group as the head of their training center. He went on to become their first HR manager of Hyundai Motor India Limited in 1996, where he was responsible for recruiting and training the company's first 2,000 employees across various levels. He has trained over 50,000 executives across corporates, educational institutions, and service organizations in the last 30 years. Dr. R. Karthikeyan started Gemba in 2000 to commence his consulting career with behavioral training and leadership development interventions. Dr. R. Karthikeyan is currently leading the International Federation of Training and Development Organization, where he has the mandate to run a world conference. He has been the past president of ISTD for the past 3 years. Dr. R. Karthikeyan also holds membership to NHRD, SHRM, and ATD. He is also a columnist with The Hindu and many other leading publications. has authored more than 8 columns in Tamil, his mother tongue, on varied subjects like mind-body medicine, business psychology, and entrepreneurship. All of these columns have been published as books as well. He is also an active media personality and various talk shows and debate programs. He is a visiting faculty of the leading educational institutions in India. With lots of respect, I would like to welcome Dr. R. Karthikeyan for his session.
Thank you. Thank you very much for the nice and generous words. And thank you, Toastmasters, for enduring such a long introduction. I like the way Aarti introduces process that a non-Toastmaster talking to a Toastmasters. And I can say that I've always been a non-entity doing something into a group of entity, and that has richly rewarded me. I've been a non-management professional into an industry, and I can go on. I was a non-media person. I've been a non-TV person, non-journalist, non-NGO. So with a lot of arrogance, I have to say non in so many ways. Okay, these are all so many nons. But I think I tell you, if you ask me what is the biggest trait a trainer must have, I must say humility. Humility comes when you think you have still space to learn. And if at all, if someone calls me successful by any count, which I really do not care about, is that I still feel there is a long way to learn. And this 3 decades only add to your hair. I mean, in terms of whatever you have, in terms of receding hairlines or baldness or whatever it is. But I think most important thing is see what I can pick up today. Before I get into the business and talk about things I have in mind, I'll tell you one of my biggest learning came from the person who just passed away last week, Edward de Bono. I'm sure many of you would have been familiar with his books and concepts, and maybe some of you would have used it in your training programs if you have been. I saw him, actually his book turned the way I looked at training. I was actually a kind of lecturer, I was kind of speaker, educator, and I still remember the first ever training program I have done. See, the first program I have done in my life, or the first ever training program I have seen in my life, was mine. So look at the kind of in terms misfortune not to have any fallback. So what I did was, I still remember, this was, it may sound very ancient for all the young people here, this was Salem Steels and the year was 1989. And what I did was, there's a 3-day MDP program. They said, you have to do an MDP. I was really lost because in my world, MDP means manic depressive psychosis. So I was wondering why this MDP. Then she said, no, this is called something called Management Development Program. That was a level of understanding and knowledge I had when I got into an MDP. And I did some 6 sessions in those 5 days, did some icebreakers and all that. And what I did was, one in a particular session, I filled the blackboard with all the concepts and jargons to a level that most of them are fatigued to a point that one thing all of them came to know, that this guy knows a lot and we really don't know what he's talking about. It's very great. So if you don't understand, we say it's great, no? Because we don't want to let our ignorance know. So I said, this guy is talking to really good. So the news went to the head of the HR, and those days it was called a training. It's not L&D. Okay, so there was training. Not even HRD was in place. So he came and said, can you run the session all over again? I felt like that Tamil hero Bakiraj in the Rasukutti, where they say you start the movie from the beginning. So they said, why can't you run it all over again? And when I had to simplify certain things, I found myself a lot of insights that I don't need to give everything. I need to give exactly what they want. And how can I make it like a story? So that changed. But then still, I was largely kind of educating with tools, and my uh, kind of background in the theater helped me to engage audience, had humor, have a presence, play with words, gift of the gab, and I thought I was a trainer, which I wasn't. So one book which changed the way I looked at a creativity program was Edward de Bono. Cut 12 years later, I had a chance to go and attend to this program. It was more like trying to go back to Guru and thank him that I've been greatly, amply rewarded by your books. So here am I. I went and it was an audience of about 300. I take a minute to explain this because there's a lot of relevance to the program here today. And I was expecting Edward de Bono to really fire from the stage and give all the examples. And no, I was all set. But it was like a theater, and where no, your seating was not so great, and you're packed by people. I was kind of literally sitting in one hit movie, first day, first show kind of environment. And Edward de Bono, suddenly the screen opens. Edward de Bono sits on a chair, and he has a table which was a OHP. Those days, overhead projector was almost in the stage of extinction. I'm talking about 2004. No one was actually using OHP. But then he had a very old OHP, and this transparency sheets, whoever is able to connect in this group are above 45 or 50, a quick age test. Okay. If someone is what this guy transparency is talking about, then I know you are in a different generation. So we used to write everything, put it on the projector. So I used to feel like, you are just making tawa, chapati one by one. Now it'll be hot and ready and you'll be doing that. So we generally go with a packed material of transparency sheets with color pens and all that. This man sits there, and this transparency sheet was a running sheet. It was not a single A4, which was a running sheet. And what he does is he sits in a chair, he's not moving one bit, he's not looking at the audience. He writes, he draws, makes concept. As he writes, that's shown on a two large screens. And by the time you look at it and read and understand, he moves the transparency, gets on to the next. It goes like one sari, put on one table. Typically, how if you go to Nalli, they'll push one sari and put the next one, then push one and put the next one. Within 5-10 minutes, I was wondering what's happening here. How are we going to? But I'll tell you, I sat like that for about 6 hours. And there's only one break. It was packed with content. Like if you leave a transparency or one word what he speaks, you're lost. I mean, the connectivity of thought, there's no drama, no audience engagement, no interaction, no question answers, but pin drop silence, because he will give a concept, give an example, then he would say, this was what we used in Olympics so and so year. This is what CAA did as a technique. This came out of the names he drops and the kind of examples he talks. We had to do only one thing. Either you have to write it down or you have to listen and understand. I chose the second. I was not taking any notes. And that also is a habit as a clinical psychologist. I would do all my listening, and when the person goes, then I make my notes. I don't take notes when someone is talking because it can get filtered. Some people may feel intimidated. At least to say someone will be very uncomfortable that he is trying to note down. I don't know what is he noting down. So always give a complete patient ears and mind to the other person. So Edward de Bono turned on completely the way I looked at audience engagement training. What I'm saying is not that I changed my style the next day and sat on a transparency and start writing. No, I didn't. In fact, I've chucked off transparency sheets very early, and PPT I stopped using about 12 to 15 years back, even on large programs. Aarti knows about it on and off because we have done some work together, so she knows. I kind of sparingly use wherever it's required. I still have my audience engagement methods. So what I'm saying is, whenever you see a new person, whenever you see a speaker, trainer, educator, entertainer, I think we have to pick a thread from there. So I may add value today to the Toastmasters because I would have done something which you have not done. I would run something very crazy, very illogical, and I like the introduction very much, the first introduction. And he said, it's not that we are sharing our successes. We are here to share, not so, or I would call it's not success today, because there is a very thin line between success and failure, according to me. Because a failure is an R&D. Okay, so if it's a failure, I need to say what can make it successful tomorrow. Nothing else. There's no great attachment to it. And I think the biggest learnings I got were from the goof ups I made in my training on someone's cost, really. Okay. And I was very lucky to be in right places at the right time and to make big goof ups so that I can learn much early. So I would take my next 30 to 40 minutes in trying to say how you can be successful, effective trainer. Okay. Effective and successful trainer, you're already, I see this group. Typically, I'm not seeing you, and that's a challenge what we are having post-COVID. Okay. I'll also share about it. How do you really do a good program in a Zoom? And I have my struggles and ecstasies in this process. I'll tell you, in last 1.5 years. Okay. Especially when someone you have your attention like a superstar, no, you just be there, 25 people sitting there, 50 eyes on you. Okay. And if one eye goes away, you can always react. From that attention, you suddenly become like an big star in an OTT. Okay. You don't know who is watching, what is the reaction. So superstar in an OTT, typically that's what Zoom is all about. Okay. So you have to shed your ego and see what you can do here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you the kind of perceptions I have and insights I have about a transition of a speaker to a trainer. Like in any group, this could be a normal distribution curve with good bit of majority with decent experience. One side you'll have people into veterans who would just say, okay, what else? We have heard this many times. Let's see what he says. Other side will be very new. Oh, I never knew this. This is really good. So let me try to bat between both the ends and try to get as much. So I would like to have about 20 minutes of Q&A, which should answer almost as much what you have. Number one, according to me, speaking, and I have a lot of assumptions and I'm bold to make them very expressive. I don't worry to be right all the time. So if my assumption is wrong, you have the right to always correct me. I think speaking is relatively short duration when you compare to training. I think most of you would agree with that. Okay. So you don't speak for 12 hours and 36 hours continuously. Most of the time, the speaking part of it, if it's relatively, I do a lot of keynote. Okay. When you do a keynote, it is 30 minutes or 45 minutes. Or even if you have to give a lecture, it's one way, it doesn't go more than 1.5 hours. But what happens is when you talk about training is a very layered, complex process. So fundamentally for the beginners here, let me give you my understanding about what training is all about. If you are working on skills, it's connected to training. If you are working on knowledge, there can be skills, there can be attitudinal, but largely knowledge, largely information flow, largely influential, it can be this side. But training has to do with the demonstratable skills. Why people spend so much money? In fact, I've been very blessed and lucky to have a very huge fee in the industry, and people always talk about it. I was one of the one who was demanded top fee in South India. I always ask this question, why do they pay me so much when the same content can be delivered by another person in a 1/10 cost? Very good people. I don't need to underrate someone because someone is charging less. So I always ask this question, why do they pay more? because there are certain demonstrable skills among the participants. And if they find that you are much better than others to make them learn and do, you are a good trainer. This is my fundamental definition. If it's going to be sales training, people expect you after the program, they have to sell much better than what they were doing earlier. Either technical training, or it could be very soft, like into negotiation, leadership, abstract concepts. So more and more you deal with abstract, intangible, but yet very important, where your ROI is not very easy to measure. Those are the programs they find it very difficult to get trainers. If you have to teach communication, for example, I'm sure in this group about 80% of the, or more than that, would have done a communication skill program, right? Can I say that all of you would have done some part of communication program? It is not to belittle anyone, but I can tell you, when I was doing a communication skill training program, I was under folly, and even I was thinking I should stop doing a communication skill program just because I find everyone is doing it. Every person who starts off the value chain, first thing is communication, interpersonal, and goes off, right? This is the chain they start off. But I'm sure there is a more need for communication than ever before. 25 years back or 50 years back, they were thinking whether they need so much communication skills training. And I'm sure another 25 years down the line, we'll have more requirement. How to handle your robo effectively, how to handle people who works with the robo effectively, how to make them smile, how to have eye contact. We may have a very interesting, but communication skill program, I would call it as a lower end program, because people find it very easy to teach and transfer the knowledge into practice relatively than other conceptual or abstract ones. So your job is making people do something which they were not doing earlier, or making people do better which they were not doing so better earlier. So your job is not just to teach them, but your job is making them do. So we have today a lot of requirements. How do you make people engaged on the jobs? How do you make them to work on the wellness? Or how do you really, I always feel people who have gone to gyms, that most of the gym masters, successful ones, are actually very good counselors. If you look at it, it is not just the techniques. It's not like, which exercises he picks, but he is the one who will tell you, and he will inspire you to do it continuously, because whoever has gone to gym would have dropped at least half a dozen times, right? Minimum. Depends on your age. Like, these are the things, we buy a treadmill and use it like a cloth hanger, or we can do a lot of things. So the ones who are good in making you convert a knowledge input into an action input, if I can call, that's the crux of your training. Now, certain things, whatever you have been doing in a speaking, I use a lot of films, examples of films, or clips of films, or complete films, or use of techniques of filmmaking to speaking. And I'm sure all of you know about the three-part structure, what generally you do in a speaking. There is a opening and a middle and then a closure, right? You know all these things. But when you do a training program, you may use this, you may not use this, but what is ultimately important is, can you make this person behave differently? Can you make this person work differently? Can you get a different quality output out of him? So you have to put the end in the mind and start working. So I may use a lot of theatrics in a group. There are groups where I would just get onto the subject straight away, or I know that, because it depends on the group. So, which takes to my next point, is that you need to know your group so well. You need to spend a lot of time before, during, and during, sometimes work even after the program, in knowing the group. Who is your customer? See, today when I'm talking to you, I am not really very much, because even though it's a training program, I am not spending as much time to understand. I'm not even asking you anything. I just started to speak because I think it's a technical program where my usefulness is to give you certain things technically and make you more equipped, not to prove myself as a good trainer. So I'm not trying to spend time with the energizer. I'm not asking you to introduce. I'm not asking you what do you want from me. You tell me, put it in a. I'm not doing anything here because I know that you know that already. But the catch is that in a straightforward programs, you will get the needs very straight away. And more you go advanced, because you know how people are. People may think something, say something, expect something, and can go out and do something else. So, how do you bring this alignment about what they think, what they do, what they speak, and what they do outside the program? So, it needs a lot of psychological acumen to do exactly what, because many times the organization, it could be a corporate organization, it could be NGO, it could be a school. I have worked in all this. Predominantly 80% of my work is in corporate, but I think I've done some decent work with NGOs and off late with education institutions. Challenge levels are difficult and are different, but I think predominantly every organization has a plan and a budget to do something with the people. Now, what they say and what they expect and what the group actually needs may be different. So, by the way, let me ask you a question. Who is your customer when you do a training? Any answer is fine. Any form is fine. From anyone, it's fine.
Audience.
Audience, please.
Audience.
Who is the customer? Attendees. Okay.
Student. Opponents.
Some more.
No, the management
who pays for this audience?
The management who asked you to conduct the training.
Wonderful.
One who wants to benefit out of this training.
Okay. Mentees.
Okay.
One who satisfies from
People
what
are
we
customers.
Thank you. I'm very, very satisfied. But to put these things into a kind of perspective, I always use one story which I made for myself and share it very happily. 15 years back, when my son was about 5 years or 6 years, we used to go to Advarpet to Arepuram Sangeeta. You can park on the road and order. It was like a drive-in. People those days who live in South Chennai know that. Even today, we somehow made it legally, illegally, and push all that. But those days, it was right royal. You can go open the doors and sit. It's very, very kind of spacious. And my second one was very too small those days. She was like, so baby. So what happens is whenever we used to order food and enter waiting, I'll always see a balloon fellow coming. Okay, the balloon fellow will make a noise like truck, 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 truck. He will make such an interesting noise. My son will get very, very thrilled. He will look at him with all that. Okay, I stop the story here and I generally ask the question what I asked you. I asked who is the customer for the balloon wala? Who is the customer for the guy who is selling the balloons?
Anyone who is fascinated by the sound.
The
Yourself.
The
You are paying. You are the customer.
Okay.
Directly children and indirectly parents.
So, all the answers, now I'll only put them in terms perspective. Number one, there is a user. So my son is a user. So first he has to he has to get attracted. He has to feel like his love at first sight. He has to completely say, I need it. I really need it. Okay. So I always equate them with my participants. Participants, because you train for the participants, typically, okay? The one who is kind of receiving your service. The one, okay, I actually want to buy the balloon and I'm just asking how much is that, with a lot of dissatisfaction, as if you're not going to buy. He would have seen thousands like you. This guy anyway will buy. But then he'll say, sir, 7 rupees, sir, 10 and now 2 kudu, 5 rupees na kuduga sir, 10 na 2 kudu. Okay. Rendala vana, give me one. Give me for 5 rupees. I'll show my negotiation skill with the balloon fella. 5 rupees. Okay, sir, take one. So I'm the one who is organizing the sale. Am I the end customer? No. The actual kind of decision maker is my wife. She will keep quiet till the almost the drama is going to over. When I'm going to take my purse, she'll say, I don't know what into material this balloon and all said, whether it is safe to children. You don't think anything. If you ask something, you get. That's a problem with you. Okay. Now I need to check whether I need to satisfy my son or wife or balloon wala. I'm not interested, but at least my inner peace is important, no? Then finally say, okay, okay, but don't repeat it. It's not a nice habit. You said you should think before you say yes, okay. Now already give him, it's okay. She is the boss of the company. She is the final decision maker who is having the power to process the payment. So when you are doing a program, you have three sets of customers. Okay, one is the one who are sitting there and they need to go out and say, they need to write poems about you, hug you, and tell you this is the best program they've ever seen in their life. They may say it in alternate programs, the same words. Don't bother about it. You think it's true, and you see them after 5 years in an airport or railway station. They say, "Sir, superb, sir. That program you did in Kodaikanal, amazing. What is the name of the name? I don't know, sir, but the program was fantastic, sir." Okay, and especially the arrangements are superb. The fun we had at the night was fantastic. Now, this is first level. Second level is the guy who's organizing it. He could be HR, he could be a sales guy, he could be the one who makes a plan and budget, has many service providers, and he is judiciously trying to put money and plan and top management in coordination with, and say, this guy says lots of jokes, nothing more. Okay, I'm not getting anything out of it. And when I go that side, he will always immediately announce a lunch break. Okay, or afternoon he will put one video on drama and he goes to sleep. I don't want him. I want someone. So the one. Third one is, okay, we have spent about 12.5 crores last year. What is the ROA for it? What are the non-value adding program? What are the value adding program? Do you have an evaluation parameter? The CEO talks about it. So I think why I'm saying this is it's not straightforward like how much you're liked. Okay. That's why there are levels of evaluation. In fact, I'm the one in the country to have gone through Jack Phillips' fifth level evaluation model. Jack Phillip and his wife Patty Phillip works very closely with me. I went to Dubai to learn this. Till then, we had only 4 level models. Okay. And fifth level is the ROI. So first level is how much you like the program. Second is what you have learned in the program. Third is what is the behavioral changes you make in the program after the program. And fourth is how much it impacts your business in the program. Fifth is can you convert it into a number. So whether you know this 5 or not, keep this in mind. Very intuitively, 15 years back, what I have picked up is I'll pick up those programs. I didn't know how to do an ROI. I was very poor and still I'm very poor with numbers. But what I knew was if the management feels these are programs which are very, very, very important, which are so critical to them, pick those programs. Like for example, I was doing a program for safety professionals for the British Gas because they have a department of safety. The top person is vice president. They have 2 GMs, 4 DGMs, 15 managers because safety is the highest priority for a gas plant, because they have their operations in the mid of the sea. So if someone makes a mistake, this blown off the entire, all of them are dead. So they asked me, we have done everything into compliance and regulation. We have done everything possible, but we are seen as a kind of policeman because we only say do's and don'ts. Can't we inspire? Can we influence them? Can we do something more interesting to make people more safe? So what happened is we came with a drama-based completely a program, which is called influencing skills. So we taught people how to influence, not use control. In fact, I always ask this question, managers, if you can't exercise authority and can only exercise influence, how many of you can do what you're doing today? So keeping the authority, I said, can I influence someone to change his behavior? So that led to be one of the major interventions. Why I'm saying this is, you need to understand the training as a process, training as a layered process. You have multiple customers, and you have a time frame there. It's not just the duration of the program, what happens during and after the program, and what he does. It could be a part of an intervention. So understand this. Now, what are those areas quickly to give you? One, your audience engagement. Today, especially online, today half of my programs go online, and I'm not very happy about it. It's just inevitable. I did a program for Indian Oil on emotional intelligence, and it's a much tutored program with a lot of publicity and posters. L&D did all that possible. But at the end of the day, they say the program is between 3 and 5 in the afternoon, and all the managers will be in the duty spots. So when they log in, they're almost half dead for the day. They're sitting in the stations with the uniforms, some of them sipping tea, having calls, handling problems, and also attending to your program. They also attend to your program. Now, the first day was my ego got punctured and it came to a level it was never before. Because I don't know who is listening, who is there, how much is listening, what is his understanding, what he exactly wants. And you need to ask people to be unmute and speak. And the last thing I would like is to be like a school teacher asking them, open your notebooks, fingers on the lips, look straight, don't talk to neighbors. It completely takes away the style what I have. But then if I allow them, okay guys, it's not like a live program where I say you sit comfortably and do whatever you want, but just be with me. So I think technology becomes a very, very big amount disruption. And I learned a very hard way how to do it. And there's so much of fatigue. There's a Zoom fatigue today. From morning to night, all good and bad things happen in Zoom. With so much of meetings, the moment you have to log in, we know really this one square has to be ready. The rest of the body need not be ready. Your mind need not be ready. And then your background is the only thing it matters. And we learn to say what are the things appropriate. Okay, put a clap, put a thumbs up, ask one question, smile whenever it is there, and keep off. And I can check my messages now and then, because whoever is speaking cannot have control more than 4 or 5 windows out of the whole lot. If I keep on looking at who is doing what, I cannot speak, because your proprioception mechanism, you do so many things. You need to think, you need to speak, you need to attend, you need to plan your next. So in this process, if I have to let go, I let go, whatever. So whoever is listening, let them listen. I will do my job. So what I feel is, today, I think like how OTTs have made our film appreciation better in about 24 months, right? I'm sure we'll not pay for many junk because we have seen a lot of other language content, right? So what has happened is Zoom has sharpened ourselves. There's a lot of, the frills are cut. I need to energize, but I can't have so much time. Okay, how can I do an energizer across? How can I engage a content? In fact, you know that some of them are very ancient, well-known, proven technique like a storytelling. Storytelling works like crazy, whatever media it is. Like how Aarti started with a cat story or priest story. See, it has become a cat story now. It's not even a priest story. That's the power of the story, right? So stories are central part. And usage of, see, I have a chance to distract. If you give me an opportunity, I will move out. But I will like to complete what you are talking. During a conceptual discussion, I can always move out and come back. But when you are telling me a story, especially when I don't know the story, at least I'll give the attention to see what are you trying to say. And if the story is really good, then I get glued into it. Then I start connecting. Like I was active for a few days in Clubhouse last few days, especially those film discussions and all. Someone said so beautifully, like I was talking about learning. Excellent learning I got. Okay, which was a reassurance, reinforcement, not that psychologically that it was like a serendipity. Someone asked this question to a very leading film director. If an actor does something and the audience are not connected with that, what do you do with it? Like you intend a comedy, it just falls flat. Or you do a great drama, no one is bothered about it. They're all just waiting and yawning. Or one major action sequence, you look very tired when this will get over. So I heard this analogy, it's very important. As trainers, I think you should love this. He picked up the example from Mahabharata. You all know the story, I'm not going to get there. Arjuna claims that he has killed everyone and feels very guilty, right? Krishna says, you are not killed anyone, you are only my tool. I have used you to do my job. So he says, equate this with a film actor and an audience. Okay, audience, or in our case, the participants, are the Krishna. Actor is the Arjuna. Okay, and he gives an example. In the movie Badshah, we are showing him to be a great guy who is trying to have other life and he is trying to do a normal life. So twice or thrice he was provoked and we are shown a bad guy. And this bad guy, the hero, is not doing anything. He gets beaten up, he is quiet, he is gulping the anger. And to a point when his kind of sister is being kind of being pulled into this, the other brother, the police brother, says, I will handle it, you don't come inside. So then the audience voice is, you just better get off, let the hero come in and fight. That is the audience was wanting to. So exactly the actor says, Ulle po, means that is the voice of all the audience. Your time is over, now it's my time to get in. Now this is the sync between a trainer and then a participant. You have to hold his emotions so strongly, and he has to believe that he is getting what he wants out of you. It's not the other way around. If you want to use him as a tool, we fail. If you become a tool for his, so the whole point is, what are his needs? What are his wants? What are his blocks? What are his previous experiences? What works well? I think it's a very sharp psychology is important. It is not about the beautiful slides you make. It's not about the beautiful words you speak. It's not about the energizers which you have gathered with. You picked up 20 and picked these two good ones. All these things will work for some time. But finally, if I'm able to connect and get what I want out of you, whether it is knowledge, that's why you will feel some people, I can give a lot of examples, but don't want to take time. I would like to close in another few minutes. But when they know, when they got what they want, even which is not what you have meant it as a major one, they get very connected. They get extremely connected. And for you as a speaker or as a trainer, you would not have even kind of rated, you would have had much better material. But he said, this is mind-boggling. So I never thought about it. I never felt this way. In fact, one of the programs, I'll cut the story here for the time. One old man took my hands and cried. He said, this is what my wife was saying for the last 30 years. But you said in such a simple way that I can understand. Then I told him, you are not able to understand because it was your wife. Okay. But then, jokes apart, when he knows the insight of why he is so, he said, I could have avoided so much of conflicts in life because what I thought about myself was very different. So give this alchemy, and that's very important. Now, training has to do with an objective for an organization, but to me, it starts from the person. So I want the person to be happy, engaged, satisfied, felt useful and connected. Because at the end of the day, how to make it interesting, I think it's a trade tricks. I'm sure you all know about it. You can use humor, you can use drama, you can use examples. In fact, some of my examples are so popular, it's been even quoted in many places. Because I feel, by now you would have felt, I use from my life experiences. So they're very real and very personally connected. I don't say that Stephen Covey said, because everyone has read Stephen Covey, why they need you. In your life, what has happened to you? What is your biggest struggle? How did you apply this concept and how you failed or how you made it? That's a story. And like I say, for all the storytellers, make up your own story, make it raw, make it original. It connects. And our human mind is like, suppose if I say, this morning I started from my home on the way to office. What I saw, that's all. Everyone's attention is there. They just don't know what you're going to say. And I was coming in the car, and by the time, that's all. They are almost ready for the drama. What's going to happen? Engage them. Tell them a story. Make it real. And if it is real and authentic and personal, it can be sensed. When you are trying to be phony, when it is a borrowed wisdom, when you don't own it, they know you are only a postman. You're not the author. And people love real stuff. And most important thing, before I close, is speaker, trainer, author, any intellectual, any performer need not be 100% knowledgeable, 100% perfect, and knows all. Okay, he can have flaws. He may not know many things. An audience love a person who accepts it on the face without defense. You say, I don't know, I'll check and come back. I did this, but I am not able to remember. Yes, I heard about it, but somehow I kind of missed it. Make some efforts and go and tell him that after you asked me, that I found that this is a very interesting book and a site. They love you for what you are. And you don't need to impress your training program. You be yourself, you express yourself. When you express yourself authentically, people get impressed. Don't try to impress people, just be yourself. When you are yourself, and the craft and skill and the work you have, the template, all those things will be used. But basically, first they need to like you. It's like a love affair. Either they like you or don't like you. And both don't have great reasons. And you don't need to give great reason. You look at a person, just can't stand that guy. You don't need to give why there are some 99 reasons I hate this. No one can say that. I just hate him, that's all. Or you just like. So get to the zone and be there authentic, and people can smell authenticity. Okay. I'm sure I have missed a lot of things in between. Uh, I had a plan, and I think I was trying to give you some overview about it. I stop here, at least can take about 10 minutes of Q&A if I have, without affecting your plan and schedule. Thank you very much, Toastmasters. Thank you very much, Aarti, for trusting me for this opportunity and for a very, very patient hearing. If I can be of more use in terms of uh, some quick help now in your Q&A, or if it's not covered, you can reach me through Aarti. She has my collaterals, and we can engage in a good conversation. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Karthikeyan, for the inspiring, amazing session. I request people who have any questions, queries, to please post your questions in the chat box so that Dr. Karthikeyan can address them one by one.
If I may unmute, and probably this is a question, I could be echoing the other participants also. So doctor, we understand the fact that we need to give the audience what they want, right? But sometimes we don't know exactly what they want, especially in a session like this today, where you have so many people and we really don't have the time to interact or get to know them earlier. How do I know what do they want?
I connect this question and two on the list and give you one answer common for all the three. What are the toughest situation you faced as a trainer? How do you handle difficult people? And your question put together. 2004, I got a call from Ashok Leland. Aarti knows this story, by the way. Okay, I'm just trying to be brief. And there was a regular trainer was absent. He couldn't make it. So I was an Upma trainer. Okay, they just took me inside. They didn't give me the brief. They didn't greatly give me the title. They asked, where do you stay? What do you eat? How will you go? Veg or non-veg? Will you want to come back? Which hotel and all that? Nothing about the training. Nothing much about it. And we go there, land in the morning, gate crash into the program, wear something, and I start speaking to know that all of them can speak only Telugu, not English. Okay. And by the time I turned to look at the organizer, because there are three levels, the one who fixed, the one who spoke, the one who accompanied were different. It's a large company. Okay. So I start, and I know I have few seconds to respond. My jokes are falling flat. So I'm asking them, I guess you're having a good time and nice to be in Hyderabad. And how are you guys doing? So all okay? You're able to understand? No, sir. Only Telugu, sir. So I quickly come up with this. I like three things about Andhra. Those days it was only one Andhra. I like Jayaprada. I like Chiranjeevi, and I like Tirupati Venkatachalamurthy. Not in the same order. Okay. I come to your place. I'm not able to speak your language. That's not your mistake. It's my mistake. Aunandi. So I know I can understand Telugu. I've seen a lot of into Vishwanath's movie, K. Vishwanath's movie. I can understand Telugu. I cannot speak. You can understand English, but you cannot speak. Exactly, Garu. Same thing. So what we do is you speak Telugu, I understand. I speak English, you understand. This arrangement, okay? First class. Next 2 minutes, I know I cannot put any of my slides or speak. I said, let's have a role play. Okay? ABV Garu, ikkada randi. XYZ Garu, ikkada randi. Have a role play. What is your problem? Then they started off me. Everything they said, and I was giving an empathetic nod with 50% understanding and trying to get the story. Finally, what happened was, what I could get was, Tatas were giving discount for sale. Leyland has cut down the discount. How can we sell? These are the dealers. I don't know sales. I don't know dealers. I don't know Ashok Leyland. I don't know Telugu. So what we did was, I asked them what are the things to be made. And I should thank the brilliance and expertise of the guy who was with me, Kumar. He said, then I told them, if you're not going to give a discount, how will you say? Come up with the brainstorming. We did something. That 1-day program was made into a 2-day, named as Back to the Basics, went all over India, 45 programs. And the best part, I close this with this because I'm allowed to take other questions. One fellow came and tapped me and tapped Kumar. Kumar garu, manchi program. This program Andhra, each district lo kavali. I felt like a dubbing star Vijaykanth. Overnight, I became a sensation in Andhra. Not in Andhra. I went to Sikkim. I went to Kashmir. I went to Assam without the knowledge of Hindi. So, lots of tough situations with all your preparation, because my philosophy in life is this: you cannot plan your future, just be prepared for it. How to manage the trainees who come with an intention of proving that they know better? Fantastic. Then the trainer, they keep intruding, disturbing the session. Lovely one. You have them. 20% of any population is this. With my experience, I can tell you. Okay, 20% of any population wants to show that they know more than you. If you have a problem in letting it, I see it as our personal problem. Let them do. I will say, I have such a knowledgeable person here. He can be my co-author. Why can't you explain about psycho-cybernetics? He will not know for sure. Don't worry. Give him the hard job. I am trying my level best, but my friend is a veteran, is there other side. Why can't you? Lovely. He said, no. I just attended the program, but unfortunately I was not aware. Okay, fantastic. But you feel free anytime to jump in. You seem to have an epitome of experience and wonderful. I have this all the time in every program. Sometimes the organizer will do. Sometimes your co-faculty will do. Sometimes the man who is the problem will come and say, tell me all the problems openly. I can only tell you are the problem, but he will not pay my fee. Okay, so I think it's very, very tricky. How do you get it out from the back? Finally, people should know that you're doing as much as you do. We have problems because some trainer's ego is very, very huge. Let me be very straight to you. I went to Ford for the first time to do a program. One fellow asked me, what is Karthikeyan? I have a problem with your second slide. I got panic because whole industry, my boss calls me doctor from my first job. Someone calling me Karthikeyan first name, coming late with a coffee mug, asking me to go back and explain second slide. For a minute, then I understood I'm the wrong person in the right place. Ford doesn't believe in sir and doctor and all that. First name culture. And he's very authentic. He stops to ask you what has happened. I'm not able to understand. He comes late to the coffee mug, which is allowed there. But what we are using Indian companies, oh, sorry, sir, okay, go and sit finally. Attitude is a problem. We want everyone to feel respect, feel small. That's a kind of our upbringing. Slowly, we need to space it out and know our blocks. What are your blocks? Attention blocks. Lots of blocks are there. I do this in my 3-day train the trainer program. I help people to understand their blocks and tell them why they are not effective in those areas. We have great craft, but I think many times we are not very sure about the blocks. If we know to take that block out, okay, for example, I can get extremely disorganized and unstructured. People who have worked with me know that, okay? Even now, Aarti said a lot of things and I promised, and finally I came jamming into the session after my dosa and trying to handle this. I know that. So when I know my thing, what I do is I kind of compliment people with more structured people. I don't love my clones, because always you love your clones. Tell them it's okay. One is enough. One Dr. Karthikeyan in the two in the team will be disastrous. Okay. So know your limitations more than knowing your strengths. Can a trainer conduct sales without a professional sales if it is hypothetical and possible? Yes, in my case, it has happened. I was never into a professional sales background, but my entrepreneurial experience was a everyday selling experience, if you may say so. Many times, this is one of the myth which I explored all the time. If you want only a domain knowledge to be the basic requirement of a trainer, you will be having a small catchment of few people. You will not have. If you think only Toastmaster can address you, you would have completely missed me. But you allowed me to come. I don't know anything about Toastmasters. I just reeled whatever came, but you would have picked up what you want and ignored the rest. This is a big, very, very, very big issue. Most of the people say, I want someone from the retail industry. Retail industry, there will be 12 trainers. You will be circulating among them. Instead, the great places like IDEO, they always say whenever they want a brainstorming, they'll get people necessarily not from their field. They will have a gynecologist, they will have an interior decorator, they will have a psychologist, they will have a sociologist, engineer, economist. Put them in and talk about a problem. You will get a completely different views about it. You need to have your aptitude, you need to have your skill, you need to have your knowledge, but don't say that only from this people. I think that's a very narrowed look, if you ask me. That's my personal opinion. Cool and composed attitude that will work most of, yes. Very true. I think it's a comment, it's not a question. Being a cool and composed, will that work? Yeah, it works. See, for me, I was a very anxious person. You may not believe this. And I had serious stuttering when I was young and I could not spell out my name if someone asked me. And I had all problems when I was in 20s. But what I learned over a period of time is you don't need to take life so seriously. Okay, when you are yourself, most of the thing falls in place. So being cool and composed definitely gives a great advantage. Imagine if I had not talked about Jayaprada and Chiranjeevi, I would not have got that. Just the word I said, Jayaprada, Chiranjeevi, I saw the grins there. That was enough to gain some space inside. Then I was doing my theatrical with them. You speak in Telugu, I speak in English. After some time, we don't know what language each one of us are taking, but we're all accepting each other. So I think being very cool is very important. And this generation, when I say this generation, definitely the 20s, the biggest tip you can give them is forget all the skills. Make them to cool down little. They will do what they want. I think that you have a huge scope to go around and really make people to think cool. Do you have mentors? Few points about mentors. Very much. Unfortunately, I grew like a wild tree, so I don't have proper qualifications or right experience or proper gurus to have cultured me into something. But I picked up, like I say, Edward de Bono is my guru, technically speaking. When I pick something new, I think that person is guru to me. So, but if you are lucky and blessed, if you are someone, there are people when you do the train the trainer program, which they continue for longer time. They feel very happy to share their problems, ask for inputs, and I kind of mentor them. So I strongly believe, but it's style based, kind of person based. Can we get 100% acceptance from participants as a trainer? You don't need to work on acceptance. You be yourself. Over a point of time, you will reach there. If someone has a serious problems in accepting you, you accept that person with that acceptance problems. So his acceptance will be better. Don't put your conditions on his conditions. Edward de Bono, a lot of books are there. The first book I did was Serious Creativity, Six Thinking Hats, Yes, No, and Poe, and one more, Six Action Shoes. These are the books. Use of regional language depends on whether you have the crowd finally determines. But you don't need to be as crazy as me to break rules all the time. See, we break rules when we know that we have the capacity to get back the rules and we kind of value rules. We don't break rules because we don't value rules. To create certain extraordinary things to happen, sometimes we bend the rules. So be very sensitive. I think it's very important to use the language what people think. So you don't need to be very fixed on that. So I'm open, but you need to understand the norms and expectations of an organization. Yeah, that's my last point. Interestingly, I made some structure last night. Aarti gave me homework, so I did that. One is that the last 2 points which I failed to say is that, happy for saying this, a trainer has to be in good health. Stamina is very important. Very, very important. Okay. And single-handedly, I handle 3 days program, 5 days program. Aarti would have seen them. I have the same energy when I close the day. And I always tell them, if I don't have that energy, I will quit training. Because no one paid to look for a tired face. I can't say I finished this program and I have this, I have to eat it now. Don't pour your problems on people. If you have problems, keep it with yourself. No one wants to hear your problem. I think stamina is very important. It's not looks, it's your fitness, your energy, your enthusiasm. How to keep this session interesting when there are experience of it like this. I think here you have experience and freshers, and I think I have kept it interesting. May I call it so? Okay. I think it's very important to value both the sides. Don't get glued to one side. Most of the educators, teachers have this bias from schools. We always look for the studious students who will finish his homework first, who nods, and they understand much before you understand. Like math and all, they'll understand it. Even the teacher will take some time. How did I get this? Yes, he will understand, ma'am. Then you like the person so much. And whoever is having a difficulty, we have a bias. When you break this bias and be very inclusive, the entire group is with you. Don't get to one side. Energy and enthusiasm. For me, I think I feed emotionally a lot. I feed myself emotionally a lot. That's why I have to read and I have to see. This lockdown was, I didn't have a single day which was boring. I don't know how much you'll believe this. Very honestly, not a single day, single moment was boring. I had overwhelming days, tiresome days, no doubt, difficult days handling people at home. I had all that, like everyone. But I never felt bored because to me, the to-do list is very high. The books I have purchased and not read, I have a big list. The films I have to watch, big list. People to speak, big list. Things to write, I have a big list. Things to plan, I have a big list. I am full with myself. So if someone feeds me after this, all the more take it with a lot of gratitude. When you don't know the subject, you think you are an expert in that, but you start knowing that area, you get scared. I have I have to learn so much to speak. How to handle, sir. Go back and accept that you don't know. The problem is over. Why do you have to start thinking that you are an expert? You say, I don't know, and I'm learning. Okay, you're tempting me. Only thing I'm not sure, I'm just cutting your timelines across. Stop me, Aarti, whenever you want. Okay, whenever you want. I don't feel offended. I can stop. Only thing I tell you, the first program I did for Precall, that was a creativity program. I just got married 1993. First program. Immediately after honeymoon, I take her for a program. Okay, so she was accompanying me, seeing me reading, writing transparency sheets and all that. But in the evening, we go for a walk for CLS to pick up a card. Okay, those days the card culture was there. No? You have to give a birthday card and all that. I picked this book, Serious Creativity, accidentally there. Edward de Bono, I don't know who this gentleman. I strongly believe books choose me rather than I choose the books. So that book chose me, and I opened up and I saw it was completely a new world. And whatever I made, my brainstorming or all my techniques I had, I saw it was very obsolete. But what I did was, I started to restructure the program early in the morning. 9 o'clock is the inauguration. I'm restructuring the program by 6 o'clock. And I come with half-ready program for first half and share it openly with my organizer and participants that I am working in this. And those are all vice presidents, senior level, twice your age. Some of them are looking, am I into the wrong program? It's like, how do you like it when a doctor says, I'm also studying your problem. I will study, come back and give you a medication. But I tell you these days, when I said this and I started my session, when they tasted it, then I did it. While learning, I was teaching. And for every trainers, you can't stop learning and start doing. You have to keep it parallelly and be very transparent about it. I will tell you what I have learned, what I have unlearned, what I have relearned, and what I don't value, like what was the past. I stop here. When a customer undervalues your commercials than your quotation, how do you respond? A good trade question. Very good. The way I handle it is, this is all managing expectations basically. Pricing is about expectations. Okay, it's not about negotiation. Many people think it's negotiation. They'll start at the big price, finally say whatever your company is allowing, I don't mind. Then they know that it's all fab. So I always have a consistency of range, and I tell them when I keep moving it, it will create bad blood into the system. And I have said no to a lot of programs. You need to have guts to say no. If it's not, I will do a honorary program, but I can't take this cost. Very early days. In fact, you will be unemployed. You may be doing big opportunities. I lost one program where they said the 40 programs consecutively on my 1/3 price when I didn't have anything in hand. When I didn't have anything else in hand for next 3 months, I said no. I said no, and I don't have regrets. I would have lost about 12 lakhs that point of time. But I know that if I had agreed for that, that would have been my market rate in the circle, because everyone talks to everyone, right? So that's a question. My email ID is director@gemba.co.in. It's crossed well on time. Aarti, feel free.
Doctor will get one more question. I'm posting one of the earlier questions.
Did I miss something?
Aarti, you are mute.
Yeah. What role? Domain knowledge, experience. A lot. I'm not undermining a domain knowledge or experience. I'm not saying don't overdo it. Okay. When IT came, all heads of HR from manufacturing who moved to IT were exceptionally good because they have handled the ER problems well there. The one who came up younger ones with no adequate experience in the industry changed the IT industry. IT HR took 20 years to mature. But if you look at it, I think the non-IT people who came to IT created the IT HR. So it is both yes and no. Yes, to an extent of, if I can give a box, how many of you read Vijay Govindarajan's 3-box solution? In fact, I gave a book review also. Go by that. This is box 1, doing your current business well. Doing your future business is box 3. So you need some fundamental structures to operate on, but don't get stuck over there. Should we maintain story repository to create? Depends on personality types, Aarti. Like someone like you is very organized, who would like to do things in a professional manner, I would greatly encourage by that. Okay. In fact, these are some of the thoughts. My wife is frustrated to the core. She says, have all your recordings, keep all your content ready. You don't have anything to do with it. So, but what happens is sometimes I'm kind of pushing myself to come with a new story. If I have my 5 stories, I will go with the 5. If I don't remember any one of them, I'll invent the 6th. So, but having a good story repository, it's a good idea. Like your toolkit, every trainer needs a toolkit, and basically inventories, games, energizers, tools. That's a very good idea to start with. Yep.
Sure, doctor. We'll have to wind up for want of time. But if there are any other questions, the team will compile it and we will share it with you.
Wonderful, wonderful knowing all of you. And I'm sure that when our orbits cross somewhere, we would meet and we'll have more conversations. It was actually personally very, very enriching. End of the day, like a speaker feels very fulfilled and charged after speaking. More than the participants, the speaker has to be charged, right? So to me, the same feeling, like I do not know, the impact would vary from person to person, but I feel very good after this. And this is for Aarti, but this is for Toastmasters. But then I think I enjoy it as much. And your queries will make me to think and kind of reinforce certain values, pick up new insights, pick up new learnings. So I enjoyed thoroughly, and I wish you all the very best. And anywhere, anything I can be of some use. I think it's great to give back. I've been kind of blessed with everything that I can ask for. So I would love to give as much from my side, whether it's knowledge, experience, training, leads, anything, it's fine with me. If you think I can do something, feel free to ask me. All the best. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Dr. Karthikeyan, for addressing each question patiently. I'm pretty sure questions will be showering because of your immense knowledge and enriching experience. But now we have a small assessment or a knowledge check for you guys from DTM Aarti. Aarti, can you take it forward?
Sure. Thank you, Lakshmi. We wanted to do a poll, but due to technical reasons, it's going to be more an interactive session. I have some questions taken from doctor's speech itself. So just to have some fun and to make sure we all were listening, let's do a quick check. Doctor said, if you can't use control, you should use
influence.
Fantastic. Let's just unmute and talk. So, we'll have some fun. It's okay if there is noise. Thank you so much. I think that was Thomas. One of the techniques which Toastmasters use a lot was also recommended by Doctor. The technique is?
Role play.
Okay, storytelling and role play. So I will go with that. The last 5 days, Doctor was researching one online app, which is kind of called
Clubhouse.
Thank you. When you're telling a story, if it's not your story, if it's not authentic, if you don't own the story, you are a
Postman.
Wow. Toastmasters are showing that, when it comes to listening, we are rocking the stage. The last one. Audience loves a person who accepts
His flaws.
He doesn't know.
And he doesn't know.
If he doesn't know the answer.
Authentic.
He doesn't know.
Fantastic. One thing which I liked a lot from what Doctor said, so I'm going to add one extra question. He called himself one particular trainer when he was the last minute fit in.
Khichdi.
Upma trainer.
Yeah.
Upma trainer.
Okay. I like the upma to khichdi transformation. I'm going to steal off from Lakshmi for a second. Since you're talking about upma and khichdi, going with the flow, let me announce the tea break. We will see you all back here in 10 minutes. Thank you so much. And doctor, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Welcome back after the short break. I hope all of you are back into your attentive modes. So up next, we have an interesting event coming up. We have the session from our District Director, Toastmaster Praveen Mani. Toastmaster Praveen Mani has been a Toastmaster for the last 10 years. His notable Toastmaster accolades are he was a past area director and the division director. He was awarded as a Star Division Director for the year 2015-16. He was a conference chair for the semi-annual conference Reverberation 2017 at Tamil Nadu. He is the founder and CEO of WinByte Technology Private Limited, an IT services organization. Overall, he has a 10+ years of corporate experience, and he is also graduated in engineering. I would like to welcome Toastmaster Praveen Mani onto the dais.
Thank you so much, Lakshmi. A very good morning to members of District 120. It is my absolute pleasure to connect with you all in this Train the Trainers program. You're not going to hear any education session from me right now. It's just going to be a district director's address. It was a fabulous first session by Dr. Karthik, and there were so many takeaways. And one personal takeaway that I really liked from his session was about the demonstrable skills that we will be imparting in the trainers' minds, that attendees' minds. I think that was something which I took as a great learning from Dr. Karthikeyan. In today's world, organizations across the globe, be it a corporate organization or a non-profit organization like Toastmasters International, heavily invest in learning and development. I'm sure that you would have come across one such department in your company. There's an L&D in every company. Most companies have one in their office these days. And they're heavily investing on that because it is always a skill issue. While we live in a country where we have about 1.38 billion population, we never run out of resources. Every company, every organization always face a skill issue. And that's where the learning and development department comes into picture, where they train the resources, and these trained resources are the ones who help in building the success for the organization. Now, apart from L&D department, there's one other department that you would come across in the organization. That's the HR department, right? The HR also helps in a part of learning and development. But apart from that, if they feel there are shortage of resources, they have this option to hire laterals. I'm sure most of us here would have changed our jobs once or twice, which means the companies are looking for skill. They don't have to train the individuals. They can also go to the job market and hire individuals to the company. But in Toastmasters International, we don't have that luxury. If a club A in our District 120 comes with the challenge of wanting to have a effective sergeant at arms, they can't go to the portal anywhere and say, we are looking to hire an excellent sergeant at arms with great energy and enthusiasm, start a meeting. We need effective vice president membership. They can't go out and ask for hiring in our Toastmasters portal. And that's where the training plays a huge role for an organization like us. And this Train the Trainers program exactly addresses that point, where we help the members in our district to have effective training skills so they can go on to deliver the session in the officers training program. And the success of our district depends upon each and every one of you who are here to get trained and go to conduct the officers training program. Now, the reason why I said I really like about the demonstrable skills, which Dr. Karthikeyan was speaking about, because your success as a trainer will not be seen on the day of officers training program. It is not about the applause that you're going to receive from the participants. Yes, it also gives you signs of accomplishment, a satisfaction. But if you really want to test your training skill, you will have to see the dashboard of your clubs, or your clubs, the members who you train, how they have performed for the next 6 months, how they will be performing for the next 6 months. Because whatever skills that you'll be imparting in each one of them, it will be reflected in the club atmosphere. If the club goes great heights, generally in district we say the area directors are pillars of district, right? We always say this. We say the area directors can make or break the district. The area directors are the ones who actually closely work with the district. But even before the area directors start working with the district, it is the trainers at the officers training program who help the club excom to perform the role to the best. So your role will be a defining role in terms of helping our district to grow to greater heights. As our incoming district director said, he is looking at developing a sustainable district. And for a sustainable district to be in place, the training of every officer play a key role, because these are the officers who will go on to serve our members. So I request you to make most out of the next session, which is going to come after this. That's the training on the specific roles. I think with that, I'm sure that we'll be able to create a sustainable district, and a district that we all will be proud to be part of. With that note, I wish you all a great training session ahead, as well as a great Toastmasters journey in the new year that's coming from July 1st onwards. I wish you all the very best, and back to you, Madam MC.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Praveen Mani, for your wonderful words. Now it's time to introduce our Club Growth Director, Distinguished Toastmaster Parthasarathi. He has been a Toastmaster since 2006. DTM Parthasarathi started his journey as the Sergeant at Arms, Secretary, Vice President of Education, President, Area Governor, and the Division Governor. He is the charter member of DXC Chennai chapter, and he's also a distinguished Toastmaster. He got graduated in computer science engineering, certified project manager, and is a professional working with DXC technology as a project lead. I would like to welcome our Club Growth Director, DTM Parthasarathi, onto the dais.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Lakshmi, for your wonderful introduction. Good morning, Toastmasters and our esteemed guests. I'm glad to be here today on this Train the Trainer session, one of the first sessions for our coming new year. In Toastmasters, we have different norms and we have different ways in which we do things. And this is one reason why trainings would benefit for everybody. For example, just like how our guest, our speaker, Dr. Karthikeyan said, Toastmasters is also a place where we use first name culture. We address people by their first names. And maybe in some circumstances, in case people do feel a bit uncomfortable, we say Toastmaster so-and-so. So whether that's all it is, we spell their first name or we say Toastmaster and then they say the first name. And that's pretty much how it goes as well. Because in Toastmasters, if you realize, at one day you are the speaker, another day you are the evaluator. So you do play a role which would reverse itself. And when you are on the receiving end, you need to have a feeling where you are playing with the same level at the same level. Now, train the trainer, something very important for everyone, because it's very similar to what we learn from our mothers. Yes, we learn at school, we have education at school, but what we learn from our mothers, the first few part of education, maybe it may not be the letters or characters, but then even learning how to speak or learning to imitate them, that's something which is very crucial and it starts as a foundation for us. In fact, most of the clubs which have survived in our district have been because ones who have a strong foundation at the time of learning. It may be starting a meeting on time, it may be ending meeting on time, or even having a business session, or how often should an excom meet. So these are things which we do not normally, they're not mandatory for our clubs to actually function, but then nevertheless, these are very, very important for them to have quality club. Another important thing which this training or the trainers we would also want to accomplish is to ensure we are familiar with the tools already available. Because instead of reinventing the wheel every time, that's a big advantage if each and every trainer is aware of what are the tools available. And they mentioned that to their respective audience, and that becomes a starting point for them to move ahead. And thereby, if you understand, audience will become self-dependent. They do not have to reach out to others. They can always find out different resources and then reach out whenever required. So in an essence, what I feel is this program is a program where we help our members learn to help themselves. Thank you so much for giving this opportunity to be part of this event. And I'm glad that we are going to learn today something which we're going to keep using ourselves in the future. Thank you so much, and hand over the control back to our MC.
Thanks a lot, distinguished Toastmaster Parthasarathi, for your words. Up next, we are going to move to the main session of Train the Trainer. But before that, I request everybody to please mark your attendance in the link that is posted in the chat box. Your attendance is supposed to be marked, so I request all of you to please do that as soon as possible.
Hi, so I have a question now. There is a mention of XCOM role, but I'm not part of XCOM right now.
I think you are attending for secretary training, isn't it?
So it's the training name.
Yeah, which you are attending, yeah. The training which you are attending.
We can maybe give a 30 seconds time for everybody to mark your attendance. All right, thank you so much. I hope everybody has marked your presence. So up next, we are going to go to the most important session that is going to happen today, that is Train the Trainer event. So we have an array of great trainers lined up for the training. I request the Zoom master to please allocate the trainers and the attendees to their respective breakout rooms for the respective expert roles.
Sure, we'll do that.
But Tuesday, Wednesday, the flyer from the PR team will go. For the next meeting, the PR team will be sending their flyer. By Thursday, the agenda would go. So you will find 3 points where the members will always be connected with us. Actual meeting is going to happen. After that, in that week, there are 3 places where we are in touch with our members. One of the places is our secretary sending the minutes of the meet. Then the flyer will go from PR. If all the functions are actually working well, PR team's flyer will go on the theme of the day or whatever the thing. And the last one,
what are the queries that might come in, or what is the procedure if more than one people are attempting for the same role, right? All these questions will come to you when you are the nomination chair. That puts you as an IPP on a big responsibility to learn the roles and responsibilities of a nomination chair, right? So when you're the nomination chair, have a committee, everything is defined. I will definitely make sure I share documents relating to nomination committee chair roles and responsibilities that you might want to share with your team. Assist in preparing the club success plan and DCP. Now, logically speaking, this makes more sense because you have been the president in the last term, and you know who are the people who will be able to complete the awards. You know what is required in the club success and how to plan that, because you've already been a part of the club success plan. So be there and help your team while they prepare the club success plan. Hey, this will account for this. This person, I'm not very sure. Let's have a backup here. So as an IPP, that is where your knowledge comes into practice. While preparing for a club success plan, plan this, plan that. Make sure your risks are mitigated. Maybe as a president, you overlooked at it and it backfired in your president term. Make sure you tell that to the incoming president, right? That's the kind of knowledge we're looking for. Any experience or something very important that you want to share while you're playing these roles?
I would suggest, or rather, whatever I have seen through, is that many a times we do discuss numbers while preparing the club success plan at the initial phase when all this KT happens and everything. But when their tenure ends or
Welcome back, everybody, to the main room. I hope you had a wonderful, informative session in your respective XCOM trainings. So before we move to the next section, I request everybody to please cast your attendance again. If anybody has missed, please go to the link in the chat box and cast your attendances again. And there will be 2 feedback forms that will be submitted in the chat box. There will be 2 individual forms. I request all of you to please fill both of them separately. The link has been posted again, so please vote your attendance. So now we come to almost the end of the session, and we have one person waiting to give us a very inspirational message. We have our Club Growth Director-elect, Distinguished Toastmaster Gayatri, joining us today. Distinguished Toastmaster Gayatri is a software engineer by profession and public speaker by passion. Currently working as a project manager with DXC Technologies. She's also pursuing her post-graduation on artificial intelligence and machine learning. For the last 8 years, she has been associated with Toastmasters International and has served as various positions at the club level as Area K1 Director, Division K Director, and Assistant Club Growth Director for District 82, Tamil Nadu. She has served as a club sponsor for 2 clubs and club mentor for 3 clubs. Currently serving as the district logistic manager, she is the club growth director-elect for District 120 for the upcoming year. With lots of respect, I would like to welcome DTF Gayatri onto the dais.
Good afternoon, everyone. I wasn't a fan of Silambarasan, actor Simbu, but I loved him in Vinay Tandivarvaya. I was not a fan of S.J. Surya, but after watching Iraivi and Monster, I am adoring him for his intelligence, passion, and flair. What changed my perception was the director who was behind these actors. If you closely watch Vinay Tandivarvaya, the way Simbu walks, talks, dresses up with that bangle-like accessory, that's not Simbu, that is Gautam Vastev Menon. If you see S.J. Surya in You and then you watch him in Monster, you cannot see S.J. Surya there. You can only see Anjanam Azhagiya Pillai. That was director Nelson behind it. Actors are adored for the thought process of the directors behind them. Now, every year, Train the Trainer is the very first event of the district because we create the directors for our XCOM. If this director does a beautiful work, area director, division director, even the district director doesn't have to worry much. Over the next 1 month, you will all be connecting to various XCOM officers. It is okay if you don't make them very familiar with the Toastmaster lingo. It's okay if they don't know how to file an award. It's okay if they don't know what is Medley Award. They have to know that. But we can give them a lot of resources and support over the period of the year. But they need to know that they have signed up for a very, very crucial responsibility, which is not just an XCOM role, but it is a power to transform the lives of people. I have a humble request. So when the trainees leave your session, make them realize the great opportunity that they have signed up for, the great responsibility that has come up along with the opportunity that they've signed up for, and the great transformations that they can bring in the lives of their club members. If they know that and they hold on to that till the end, I'm sure we'll have great things happening all through the district. So my dear directors, all the directors in the district have entrusted with the great responsibility onto you. Give your best. Let's have a great term ahead. Back to you, MC.
Thank you so much, Distinguished Toastmaster Gayatri, for the warm words. Once again, I request everybody to kindly fill in your attendance form because attendance is very important. I request all of you to please fill it if you have missed it. Maybe we can take a 2 to 3 minutes of time to ensure that all of us have marked our attendance.
And I would like to request them to fill in the feedback forms also in this 2 to 3 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. I hope all of you have voted your feedbacks and as well as casted your attendance in both the sheets. And now we come to the wrap up of the entire Train the Trainer session that has been happening for the past 2 to 3 hours. It was so informative, and I bet all the XCOM trainers are completely overwhelmed with knowledge from all the trainers that have given training today. So officially, I would like to start my vote of thanks by thanking our external trainer, Dr. R. Karthikeyan, for his wonderful presence and his inspiring speech. I thank our District Director-elect, Toastmaster Satish Menon, our PQD-elect, Distinguished Toastmaster Aarti Mangalam, our District Director, Toastmaster Praveen Mani, our Club Growth Director, DTM Parthasarathi, Club Growth Director-elect, DTM Gayatri, for all your wonderful speeches. I also thank all the trainers who has put in a lot of efforts to train and have given some amazing ideas to all the XCOM trainers. You guys made the day today. Thank you so much. And I would like to thank Toastmaster Ganesh, our officer or Zoom master for today, for organizing this event so beautifully and flawlessly. And I personally thank Aarti for giving me this opportunity to meet all of you and to MC this whole event. This has been a great experience for me. So with this said, I would like to wrap up the meeting and all the best to all of you for your upcoming tenure.